Hi, my name is Jay Ryan Williams. I'm a senior web consultant here at BayTechWebDesign. I'm going to talk a little bit about how entrepreneurs can launch their next business idea with Baytech and with good web development tools. We're going to talk a little bit today about business ideas, about e-commerce when you're actually needing to build a shopping cart and when it makes sense to sell something and when it doesn't. We're going to talk about marketing your site, getting good traffic from day one. We're going to talk about social media, how to avoid excess expenses when you do hire a designer, if you do need a designer. And we're going to talk a little bit about the folks who need to clean up their site for venture funding or acquisition. We get a lot of questions. I work with entrepreneurs all day long that are like you. They call with questions about what their next site will be. And what I usually tell them is that we are beyond the glory days where funding is easy and people are acquiring web businesses left and right, but it's not too late, and even a small idea is something that can work for you, can work for your business, and now more than ever, there are people looking for your products and your ideas who are out there, and it's easier and easier to beat the competition about being specific about what you do. There's a lot in the space, but there are a lot of ways you can overcome these challenges. I usually ask these questions right back at you because when you build a new web business, you need to evaluate a little bit of the type of person who's out there who is ready for you. They're probably ready for your business. They're ready to talk about your business. And unfortunately, when we search for something online, if we can't find it on the first or second try, we often tell people it doesn't exist, which is a really negative thing if you're out there not getting found. When we talk about e-commerce stores, we're talking about examples like this where you're selling baby clothing or specific jewelry, or one of my personal favorites, which is plus size ladies apparel. These are sites that are very specifically targeted to one audience, as opposed to Amazon.com that's trying to target many audiences. They're competing with the Walmart as it would relate to the small boutique shop on Main Street. So when you think about the distance between these two business models, we think about what are the opportunities between. When is it a good idea to go ahead and get in that game? You may have a product that makes sense that can actually be sold without a lot of product management. Maybe it's that one thing that brings to light the other things that you're very good at. And so I want you to ask this question because yesterday I came across a really unique site called a Wayfind. A Wayfind is a program that we're not affiliated anyway. I just noticed it from a colleague's email that they said, "Hey, if it's really important, click this link below." To get a hold of them when automatic response came back because they've set up this scanner, which on the surface seems like a pretty interesting product idea. But when you look a little closer, not only is it a great product, or seems to be, at least I haven't used it myself, but it seems to be a really great product, but it's something that's put out there by a consulting firm that does business process consulting. And that could be exactly the type of idea that you're looking for that can promote your core competencies in your core business, and maybe even some of the higher value and higher margin business that you do with something very simple. Maybe it's tickets to a webinar. Maybe it's tickets to a networking event. Maybe there's something else that you can sell in a small way so that you avoid some of the headache from a larger store like trying to compete with Amazon. Maybe it's instead you're selling a white paper, or you're selling a different production of maybe somebody in your staff's books. We get a lot of folks who call us and say, I've got this idea, but I'm not a developer, so I need help developing it. One of those folks was a company called toolkit.com, and what they do is they make templated websites. Now, those sites are typically brochure sites. They don't usually have the data technology in them of the sites that I'm discussing with you today. But what we did for them was build an entire backend that manages basically the reproduction of future websites based on a little bit of data from their end users. It populates websites for people. An example from a real estate firm is Divco West. They could have done a dozen different things with their site, but they really wanted to bring some news and bring an investor login and some functions that are harder to come by if you're going to try using a template. In the space, in the HR space, there are plenty of people out there doing HR-related things, and I apologize that this morning I'm using an older screenshot of money back jobs. I'll get another one for you next time we meet, but this is a good example of using really good customer management, which is another back-end module similar to product management that we can offer clients that want to give their customers a different experience, both in this case the end users of their site as well as the customers who are using them to hire from. Sites can be simple and complicated depending on what your model is. For this site, JA Financial, we worked on how to really decrease their bounce rate and get them a site that has a clear call to action for making investing easy and calling their number on their site. So with that basic kind of development side of the shop, I want to ask some questions about marketing and brainstorm a little bit about what is out there that's a little bit different than what you're used to. When you look at these questions, what does it mean to you? Usually someone will come back and say, yes, this is exactly this new social media type of internet that we've been talking about. We call it Web 2.0. And a lot of times you're not alone in pushing back when you ask 2 what? Why is that? Web is web. But the internet that involves other people involving themselves with your products and your brands, talking about it to their friends, bragging about it, complaining about it, that is this Web 2.0. That is the new iteration of what's out there, and there are a lot of ways to do it. And I wish I had the reference here for this diagram that somebody had shared with me years ago. But again, that's another great example of the internet. Someone shared this with me, and now I'm sharing it with you through video. Once you get up and get your site up and running, and you use those channels to drive initial traffic to your site, you probably want to share your site with other people. I suggest this is a really quick and easy add-in that we can do for you, or you can do pretty much on your own. And the code is pretty clean, and by installing this little add-on, it will allow you to have your users click the bottom link of the page and share your website with many other people. When you're ready for the next step beyond that, I suggest third-party integration to one of the providers that you're looking at on the screen. The the easiest, or the one that's gotten the most popularity lately is using Facebook Connect. Someone can log into your website with this plugin installed, with this module created, log into your website with their own password. And there's a password that they use and log in from their Facebook account or their MySpace or their Google account. And now they already trust you because they can log into your site in a way that they're comfortable with, in a way that they do it every day. When people push back and ask a lot of questions about what's it like to work with a developer versus a designer, I usually will share a few good examples with them, because this presentation is not only going live via this webinar, but also live in our archive webinar. I can't share with you the screenshots that I might normally, because our corporate counsel is worried that I'm going to bash some of the large agencies out there. And I wouldn't. They are great for what they do. They do great high-end brand work. But the more branding you do, the more money it costs you. The more strategy meetings you have, the more money it costs. And oftentimes this slows down your go-to-market time. And that may work for the big major brands that you'd recognize every day, but for a mid-sized company or a startup,